The Toronto District School Board has approved its two-year budget plan, promising to balance the books. The board voted to approve a balanced budget for the next 2 school years. It includes an additional $2 million for special education, as well as $1 million for music education. It maintains board ownership of pools for the first year, but could see them cut, along with some music instructors in the second year. The TDSB had been under pressure to balance the books after the province threatened to take over the board. Well, the Office of the Education Minister released a statement about the budget. It reads in part, the province is asking the board to find savings of less than 2%, and instead of looking for administrative savings, they have threatened to cut services for students. The TDSB's historic mismanagement required our government to take immediate action, which is why we have announced a financial investigation to ensure board resources are going to support students. Well, joining us now to talk about the budget and the response from the province is TDSB Chair Neethan Shan. We appreciate you coming into the studio. I want to get your reaction to the province's response to the budget.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that the province has underfunded public education, $1,500 per student. And this is not only an impact on TDSB, it's had impact on across school boards across Ontario. One of the things that we are struggling with is that we spend about $40 million more on special education than what the province gives us. These are direct support for students who need those special needs support. We spend, about more than $44 million in staffing costs that province centrally negotiates. So a lot of the crisis that many of the school boards are in because of chronic underfunding of public education. And so, in fact, the financial investigation hasn't released their report. The audited report that was done by Auditor General did not find any mismanagement. So I think it's important to contextualize where we are at and why we are at where we are at.
What is your response in regards to the criticism about underfunding, where the province might say, well, the TDSB has been overspending on things like maintenance, unnecessary staff expenses, a lack of transparency. TDSB spent $700,000 to change locks in 140 schools because of revealing a lock pin setting to the media. There's criticism about excessive staffing. What's your response to that?
Well, I think the staffing piece is important to contextualize. Again, as a school board with 240,000 students, we actually compared to a lot of the boards in the GTA, the largest school boards, we have much less staffing centrally, and we have consistently cut central staffing for over a period of time. In fact, if you look at provincial budget, it used to be almost a quarter of the provincial budget used to go to education. Now it's less than 19%. So the province itself has cut the priority on public education. So what it does is it impacts larger school boards more because we have 600 plus schools with 40,000 staff. As a school board, we are almost running at a level that is at a level of a city.
So part of what the province is saying is that rather than maybe look to some administrative cuts, that the TDSB possibly might be cutting some services, like even pools. Is there not room for savings? Is there not room for any kind of attrition where you could find?
That's exactly what we did again, where we actually saved the pools and the swimming program. We have the music program saved and outdoor education continuing. But the problem is this, if you don't address the structural issues of where the funding gap is coming from, you come back to the same issue. And central staffing may not directly impact students today, but everything impacts. If you have less people having the oversight, there are more likely errors are bound to happen, right?
Speaking of oversight when it comes to administrative staff, I'm looking at the Ontario Sunshine List. It's right on my computer here. And there are a number of executive officers who saw a 10% raise in their salary last year. A couple years ago, they had a 14% raise. From 2019 to 2020, one individual got a 58% raise in their salary. Don't you think that's a problem?
No, I think you have to contextually compare. What are they making more than other school boards? Not really. If you look at what the province has done recently.
But when the average person gets about a 2% raise in their salary, and someone who's staying in the exact same position has seen their salary go from, let's say, $187,000 to $240,000.
There are very few staff at TDSB who would
in a couple of years
make money in $200,000. Very few, probably a handful that make that money. It's you run a school board of a large enough of a size. There are people who you have to be competitive enough to have, but it's not is not outside the norm of executive salaries in the school boards, because we are a large school board. But the main issue is that many of these are centrally negotiated. Sunshine List, many of them are teachers, many of them are administrators whose salaries had been frozen, and through a legal challenge, they got a bump in the last couple of years because of the gap that their salaries were frozen. We just saw provincial government do a massive increase to their salaries, and so it is educators who need to be paid,
which had been frozen for
for a number of years,
over a decade.
So it's the government's legislative process that restricted the pay. Now they're paying back, which took a number of people over the Sunshine List.
How much is high staff absences and leave of absences impacting the budget and the day-to-day operations?
Definitely, and that's why we have a new support program, attendance support program that we introduced in the last year, and it's working better. There are going to be more support for teachers to return back to work quicker. So those things are being done to save money, and it's already working. But the bottom line is the larger classrooms and chronic underfunding will make people have difficulty in their jobs.
I have to wrap it up, but just lastly, obviously we know that the province has increased funding for special education, autism programs, but clearly more needs to be done. What's your message to the province there, and what's your message to the parents who just feel that they're not getting the support that their child is not getting the support that they need?
I think special needs support needs to increase. We actually spend $38 million more than what the province gives. Many school boards across Ontario are spending more money on special needs than what province gives, and it's rightly so. It is needed. It actually, in fact, we need to spend more. In fact, there has to be a complete overhaul of how special education is supported. So we are with the parents. We support. That's our highest priority. The students with the most amount of needs needs to be supported with the most amount of attention and resources. So if the province doesn't fix this, we are going to have serious issues in the system.
And I can also imagine that there's a lot of schools in a state of disrepair that need a lot of upgrades. Is that all in the budget?
That's an operational thing. We are asking the province to remove the moratorium for us to close underutilized schools so we can consolidate and build better schools and have better high schools with more options. It's necessary right now. I hope the province will do that to lift the moratorium, at least for Toronto.
TDSB Chair Neethan Shan, appreciate you coming into the studio. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.